Alright people, it's Carnage GT and I am doing the Daily Race B at Blue Moon Bay circuit. It's not a daily race, it's a weekly race, we all know this now. And this is my qualifying lap, and it's safe to say that this is not how to do a qualifying lap here. Obviously I'm in the Evo because I'm a little nerd and I wanted to try and be as fast as possible and try and win the races, so I'm going to pick the one that the fastest people have picked, because why not? It'd be daft not to. I ended up using my brakes here, I think, and that isn't what you're meant to do on that corner. You're just meant to just lift and coast, drop down a gear and then back onto your accelerator, and you should be crossing the line a lot faster than what I was crossing the line, hence why I only did a 43.6. But onto the first race, starting in 13th place, and rule number 1 of these races, oval races, stay in the slipstream, which I didn't do, like an idiot, and I paid the price straight away, as this guy just cuts up on the inside of me and just makes me pay for just silly errors straight away. And then the guy just behind me, the German guy, tries to come up on the left hand side, but he's not in the slipstream, so he's not getting any tow, so I managed to just pull away and keep my 14th place position, which was quite tasty. With a little bit of a turbo punt, cutting in, managed to take the place back, so up into 13th. Then that guy don't know what he was doing, he just served the penalty or whatever, but Stig just messes it up on this corner here, so I managed to just take that, and that's 11th. Guy serves a penalty here, which gives me 10th, which was quite nice. And then Kaboom Knight, don't know whether he disconnected or paused, don't know what he was doing. So 4th lap, and there's just a cluster of people. I don't know what the hell was going on, just absolutely clustered up, about 4 or 5 wide. But I just decided to stick behind Mistino Soldier, up into 8th. It was a lovely, lovely positioning just behind Mistino. And then in this part, I didn't really need to stick behind him because I kind of had tow from the top 5. But I still stayed behind Mistino until this corner. I just managed to take him as he hits the wall himself and makes a mistake. So I'm now looking at the top 5 and thinking, what can I take myself here? And that is the next question, what can I take for myself? So I managed to move up into 5th, and then this Spanish guy makes a mistake, I make a mistake, he gives me the turbo punt and he serves his penalty. So he drops back, all the way to the back. Fun in a Cup is my next victim, ends up being the Spanish guy. Ogata getting coronavirus and sneezing. So I pass the Renault using Fun in a Cup slipstream, cut on the inside, give Fun in a Cup an accidental boop, and he gives me a boop back to say, yeah, that wasn't right. And it wasn't right, it was an accident, it was more understeer than anything. But these things happen, racing incidents. And I managed to take 3rd place, which was good for my first race doing this. Especially starting from 13th, I think it was. So, not too bad at all, not too shabby. And that was an alright race, bit messy in places. I could have probably driven a little bit better, but it is what it is. So we go on to the second race. Kaboom Knight's up in pole. I'm starting in 10th. I'm back behind Mr. Soldier. I know that's not his name, but I can't see it correctly. So in the slipstream, where I made my error last time, and I've made up some ground already. So 2nd lap is where it all starts kicking off. This guy in the DHL livery just tells me to move over for some reason, even though he's got all the space in the world. Use the slipstream of 8th, push myself up, and for some reason here, they just seem to just brake too late. But I managed to just get myself off and slingshot myself up into that corner. Mistino Soldier's right back in front of me, using his slipstream once again to make myself back up to the top. try and get into that top 5 in that little cluster up front. Take him into the slipstream, sorry, of 6th. And then this Spawn guy, he was a bit erratic. He didn't like anything that I was doing, trying to pass him. So he comes back round, just off the side of me, but decides to give me a little punt anyway, even though he didn't hit the wall, he didn't tap the wall. I go back into his slipstream, and just on the outside here, he just brakes that little bit too early, but he managed to slip down. But he pushes me into the side of the wall here, but doesn't receive a penalty. I gain my thoughts back and then get back into a slipstream just to get that pace back. And then I come in on the inside of him just to snatch that position off him. 6th. And then I don't need to think about him again. Onto the top 5. And this race was eventful for the first few laps, and then it got a bit dull. So I want to fast forward onto the last lap this is coming on to, and I'm up with the pack, and this is when it all starts going daft, like proper daft. People making silly mistakes, getting penalties in the top 5, braking just way too early. I managed to catch up with all of that pack just then, just by braking that little bit later. The German guy receives a penalty. They're all just all over the place, 2-3 wide, and this is people just about to make just mistakes. So I managed to capitalise on that, make my way up to 5th. I give him a little bit of a turbo punt, and then the walls take over people. Frangio Lolo just absolutely smashes that guy into the wall, and I managed to just take first place, literally just by just under 2/100ths of a second, which is pretty tasty, yummy. Yes, please. So that's a victory for me, and in the Rusty's Lightning McQueen race suit, which is only right for this oval racing madness. And we move off into the 3rd and final race that I did on the Daily Race B. We've got Stig up in front of us again. It's a reoccurring pattern, this seems to be with the bottom of driver rate and B. I can't seem to get myself out of B. I keep doing races where I'm not doing well in them, and this is one of those races. And this is part of oval racing. Things can go really well or they can go really bad. This race started out not too bad. I managed to make my way up from quite low down up to a decent point, pushing myself up to 10th. I was doing alright. I thought, yeah, I can handle this. But luck was not to be on my side. It just wasn't going to happen for me this race. I made some really silly daft errors, and this was it here. So this guy comes behind me out to the back left, and then I panic, brake too late, and everything just goes wrong. I hit the wall, hit that bloke and spin, try to catch the spin, no, not happening, hit the wall again, into last place. Dionys, this guy was daft. I don't know what was up with him, just didn't understand space. Some people messed up there, which I managed to gain those positions, but this guy just didn't understand spatial awareness when racing, as he just turns into me, like he wasn't even on the racing line, he just turns into me for no reason. I managed to cut him here. He would have had a 1 second penalty anyway, and I take his position off him. I would have done that anyway, it was inevitable, but finishing 13th, so you can see where things go wrong if you just make simple, silly mistakes like what I did. Luckily I didn't get a penalty and fall further back. But yeah, so oval racing, you either get really lucky on just bad things happening to other people, or you just end up really unlucky and end up at the back of the pack. It's one or the other. You ain't going to decide by driving well what happens. It's just what happens in the race at the time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in another one. Cheers. Bye.